Okay, we are back, everyone. We are back. So, are we ready, Angelica, Brittany?
Always. Yes.
Okay. All right. So, again, everyone, welcome back. So, one of it's when I was thinking about putting together this summit, I felt it was critical to the success of first gen students to bring together not only the career development professionals that obviously play a very important, very vital role in students in general, but I also felt it was important to bring in the employer perspective and experience here, because when we bring in the two, it's a beautiful career marriage here. And so for our employer panel, we have Ashlea Hitchcock-Frances, who is going to be moderating. And Ashlea grew up in rural Missouri, went to college in Virginia, and has called North Carolina home ever since, with a brief 5-year stint in New York City. She has extensive experience in the nonprofit, private, and public sectors. She is proud to be a first-generation college graduate and went on to pursue a master's degree. In 2020, she started a company called The Squeeze to support other people who may be first in their families to graduate from college or to have a professional job. Follow her obviously on LinkedIn, but she's also very, very active on Instagram. Her IG handle is thesqueeze.madefresh. And you can kind of get an idea, given her name, the color that she uses on her Instagram. So actually, it is all yours. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I have the awesome privilege of introducing our panelists to start with, and then we will get straight to some questions because they are incredible. Okay, so Tequesta DeSouza, she is a human resources professional with over 15 years of experience spanning nonprofit and for-profit sectors. Her passion has always been developing talents for future success in the workplace. Tequesta's comprehensive skill set includes recruitment and selection, new employee onboarding, internship program management, employee labor relations, and training and development. Is there anything she does not know? Probably not. Tequesta currently serves as HR director for an industry-leading U.S. general contractor and is the founder and CEO of Future Unleashed LLC, whereby her mission is to help college students and graduates quickly begin working in their careers. And if you just Google Future Unleashed LLC, she pops right up, I promise.
Hi.
Hello. Next is Crystal Mendez. She joined Aston Carter, which was previously Aerotech, in 2014 as a recruiter for the Aerotech Scientific in the New York City office. She's had several promotions during her time. That means she's a badass, everyone. Okay. I didn't ask if I could, what language I could use here, but we're just going rogue. She is passionate about innovating recruitment and helping others fulfill their full potential. She enjoys spending time with her family, her boyfriend, and friends, traveling to the Dominican Republic, and exploring new brunch posts in New York City. In her free time, she loves to read self-development books and create content for her curly hair blog and LinkedIn, which we'll need you to tell us about your blogs, like drop them in the chat. And Brian Gomez is currently a technical recruiter with emerging talent recruiting team at Meta, focused on the Pathways program, better known as PWP, and it's designed to recruit and retain non-traditional career path software engineers. He spent 4.5 years for the Recruiting for Recruiting, for our team at Meta, working on a variety of business roles. And prior to his corporate recruiting career, Brian served in the Marine Corps for 15 years and is currently in the Marine Corps Reserves, serving with the Wounded Warrior Battalion in San Antonio, Texas, assisting wounded, ill, and injured Marines to transition out of the military. Y'all, like, when I got their bios, I was like, this is amazing. Like, I have my pen. I will be taking notes too, everyone. So Okay, the way I would like to structure this is that I would like I'm going to ask a question. I want each of you to answer because you're going to give a different perspective. Unless you just don't think you have anything to add, that's fine. Pass. Sound good? Awesome. Okay, let's start with a really easy one. Can you share any recruitment strategies that you've seen be successful at attracting first generation students?
Sure. And thanks for having me again. I'm so happy to be here. So this is an easy question. Even though it is an easy question for me, sometimes it's not so obvious for the first generation. So one of our recruitment strategies is to attend those career fairs, because as a first generation college student, I was myself, we were just so excited to be in college that we weren't thinking about, okay, I'm here now what's next? The goal was just to be there, right? We weren't thinking about once you graduate, now it's time to find a job. So career fairs just wasn't the focus. So for employers, we go to those career fairs, and that's where you get your foot in the door by getting those internships. So you're able to grow your resume, because at the end, you want to stand out from the others. And the way you stand out from a green graduate is by having that experience already. So as an employer, we love going to those career fairs, and we are intentional about the strategy for reaching first generations by going to the HBCU universities, and also the universities that we know that reach other populations. So I'll leave some for the others to chime in, but that's really low hanging fruit for us.
Awesome, thank you. Christelle?
Yes, I can hop in on this one. I'm very excited to be here. So thank you so much for having me. In addition to the career fairs and the school partnerships, I think HBCUs as well as HSI institutions are a great kind of first step to attract first-gen students. Something that has been a big realization for me, just being in the recruitment industry over the last 2 years, is just the power of social media and the social media platforms, especially for first-gen students. I think that when we look at Gen Z specifically, Gen Z lives and dies by the social media, the TikTok, the Instagram, the LinkedIn. So what has been beneficial for my team and for Aston Carter organization has really been allowing our employees, so not really allowing, that's the wrong word, but encouraging our employees to have their personal brands broadcasted in their social media platforms. Because when we look at this generation, specifically on the LinkedIn platform, people want to work at employers that are attractive and are sexy and like the cool next thing to be at. And what better way to broadcast that in a way that it immediately reaches the generation that you are targeting. Beyond just utilizing the social media platforms as a recruitment tool to target HBCUs or HSI students, it's really showing who we are as individuals, so that way candidates and first-gen students can identify with us and can say, I want to work there. So when you look at, for example, for me, when you look at my LinkedIn page, I am very vocal about women in the workplace. I'm very vocal about you need to have curly hair at corporate. And when younger generations see that, it kind of creates a relatability of saying, I can work there or I can connect with this person. So in addition to that physical human interaction of career fairs, I think just the social media Gen Z has taken it to just like a different level. I don't know if you guys have seen the TikTok resumes. It's just a completely new ball game of just connecting with these younger first generation.
Yeah, agreed. Also, I think showing care, right? How do you take care of people? But we'll get into that. Okay, Brian.
Man, this is tough to follow up because these ladies are hitting it right on the head. Well, first and foremost, I'm super excited to be here. I'm trying to hold my energy back. If you guys
No.
don't know, man, I can get super loud and I can get really pumped up. I love these type of things. So like, this is really fun to do. Besides what they're talking about, like there's a lot of partnerships out there. And I will say for at least, you know, big tech, I don't want to just say specifically just for Meta, but for like big tech, there's a lot of times when they're partnering with local community colleges, nonprofits, you know, things like that. I've personally done some meet and greets, as well as some panels with students that have our backgrounds, right? And just kind of let them know like, hey, you don't need to have this to get here and to be successful and to go down the non-traditional pipeline of what typically our parents and their parents went down, right? So it's having that like that common connection and being able to relate, and to be able to like have that, I guess that that mutual benefit of that, hey man, we're the same, right? And so like, let me show you, let me give you the keys of the kingdom. Let me help you expand your mindset, because you don't have to go a certain path. You can do so many other things. And that's a big reason why I love pathway programs. I love to argue against my leaders, and I can definitely get into that, but I love to argue with them, right? It's all about influencing, but it's also like challenging them, like, well, tell me why. Why do you want this individual from this place? How about we look at your team makeup? You know, oh, you're missing this, this, and this. They're going to bring a unique perspective. They may have not came from, you know, Harvard or Stanford or whatever, but they have some different life experience, and they're going to challenge when you need your processes and your holes to be challenged, right? That's a big one. And then real quick, like putting on the sourcer hat, right? The front end piece of the recruiting, like you definitely have, at least here, you have the creativity to kind of find the ideal candidate, right? And so a lot of folks, even some of my partners, like diversity is huge for us, right? And we really value, and that's really pushed out from top, right, all the way down. And so you can get very creative. You can start looking at, you know, small little local nonprofits, see who they're connected with, right? Because people love to connect with each other and create synergies and be like, hey, what's working well on your side? This is where I'm missing the mark. What are you guys doing? X, Y, Z. So having that creative lens, at least for us, when it comes to recruitment strategies, I mean, you can think of everything. If it works, great. If it doesn't, great, right? Like, give us the ROI. Let's see where we can fix it. Maybe it just wasn't going to be a good search string or a good search, but someone else is going to take those learnings and have that aha moment, right? So there is a lot of things going in there. I mean, you can really dive into the weeds and get the like that brass tacks type stuff, but it's a lot of fun, right? And you definitely, once you're passionate in doing it, like it comes so easy.
Okay, first of all, I think someone heard you say you were giving away the keys to the kingdom because they came to your door. So they were like, I'll take them. And second, I want to follow up for any of you to answer, you know, yes, we want students to have internships. We hope that is what happens in undergrad, but it doesn't always happen like that, right? Some of us worked full time and didn't have that. So how would you best tell someone to kind of capture their maybe non-traditional experience that they've had during undergrad to highlight it?
I can quickly touch on it. Experience is key. It doesn't matter what type it is. If you really peel the onion layer back, you can find like little nuggets of knowledge of what you were able to accomplish. I think the best way, and I push this out to a lot of transitioning vets, right? Because a typical person in the military, they spend 20, 30 years and that's all they know. And they think like, oh, well, it's just, you know, all these military terms. And I'm like, dude, no. You need to like Google, right? Military terminology to corporate. And you can find a lot of similarities of like the military side of the house and the civilian side of the house. The big thing is like, you have to take that time and really understand, well, what did I really do? Grab some job descriptions of career paths that you're really interested in pursuing. That's going to be like your great foundation to really understand, okay, did I really do that? And take that time to really look at any type of experience, whether it's volunteer, whether it's paid or whatever, right? And just break it down, because now you can make your resume flow into exactly what you're doing and hitting those wickets. You never want to like fluff it up in a sense, because you will pique the curiosity. I'm always curious. And when I see something, I'm like, oh man, tell me more about that, right? Give me, give me the A, B, C, D. And if I see it struggling, I'm like, ooh, did you really do this? Or are you just putting there to like generate some interest? So it's a fine balance. You don't want to be caught, be like, oh, I don't really know, but you want to have at least a little bit of knowledge to make you deadly.
Just to piggyback off of what Brian said, you hit the nail right on the head when you were talking about the transferable skills. Those transferable skills in that job description, I always coach my students, like the job description is your Bible. When any job that you're applying for, you need to make sure that you've read that job description frontward and backward, and that you understand it. And then when that employer, the recruiter, is looking at your resume, that 7 to 10 second rule, you guys, is for real. When we start looking at your resume, and if we see that you're starting to check off some of those things, we're going to keep reading to fully read the resume. But if we get through the first couple of seconds and we see that nothing that we need is there, guess what we're going to do? Click to the next, right? So you just want to make sure that those transferable skills, and like Brian said, it doesn't have to come from work. It could come from volunteering. It could come from church. A lot of us go to church. A lot of us are on sporting teams. A lot of us volunteer other ways. A lot of us has babysat before. So there are so many avenues of where you can pull out the experience. Experience does not equal paid, right? So it does not have to be paid for it to be a golden ticket.
Thank you for saying that. I feel like we need to just put that on repeat over and over, but also don't hire unpaid interns. Pay our interns. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I want to follow up with that. So, okay, we have recruited. Now we have great first-gen talent in the door. What are some ways that you have seen first-gen talent be supported in the workplace? Maybe in the companies you work for, or in your mentorships, or when you're working with young professionals. Let's start with Brian this time. We'll work.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, there's a lot, right? Again, we value this. I love Meta. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I love my job. I love what I do. Like, no complaints, right? Can it get hard? Absolutely, right? But that's the fun part. It gets challenging. And the big thing that I really love about them is unique perspectives, right? We want different people that think differently. I mean, like, there's pipelines that they want big tech, this and that, but like, when you have people moving from like, the big main companies, right? Apple to Amazon to Google to Meta to Netflix, it's the same, I'm not going to curse, stuff over and over again. But if you start bringing different people from like Aerotech, right? Rose International, you go to like smaller areas where it's like, I can't think of the name, but there's a small company that's like a 10-person company in Indiana. And I found an individual there, and we loved him and we hired him. And he came in with so much knowledge that people like in different areas just never thought about, right? So that's something that we really highlight. And so this kind of goes back to the first gen, right? Like, again, there's so many different experiences of what we bring to the table that you're able to challenge and influence and create something new, right? Some folks, they don't know what's broken until someone else comes around and says, hey, look, I see this gap, and this gap. Have you ever thought about this, and this? No, I haven't. Well, here I am, right? Everybody's life is so different. And that's something that we really, really push for, because if we're going to continue to build great things and bring the community together, like, we have to target everywhere in the world, right? So it's something that I've also seen. And then like you're supported, and I don't want to say push, but you're supported and kind of like, empowered to push back. And this is what I was talking about with my hiring leaders. Like, I will push back. I will ask why, and I will give data points, and like, you can have that healthy dialogue, because this is what we're trying to do. And, everybody has unconscious bias. It happens. And this is why we have those conversations, that open conversations, those crucial conversations, to really like start opening up those thoughts and ideas, and say, dude, your team is great, but we can make it even better. And this is why, and this is how, and let me show you X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. So there's just, it falls on a lot of folks, but as a recruiter sourcer, like we are coming in with that knowledge because we're boots on ground. We're for the gatekeepers, if you will, of saying, hey, look, there's this small community college. They are pumping out these folks. They are hitting the mark on these areas. Talk to them, right? Let's do a luncheon. And again, these things are very supportive. There's so many leaders that I've worked with where I just ping them. I'm like, hey, do you have like 30 minutes, 45 minutes free next week? I have a couple students that would just love to pick your brain, right? Boom. That's some knowledge that they're spreading out. And it also, it's like, it's mutual because now that individual, that leader they know who this is, where they are. Now they're going to be very, they're going to be very interested in like, hey, where are these people coming from? Right. And it just kind of builds that community, right? And builds those questions and you create those curiosities.
Awesome. Thank you, Christelle.
I love that question. I think that that is a question that every candidate, especially when you are first gen, should ask in the interview process. I think first gen students, especially when you come from a diverse background, really miss the mark on asking, what does my support look like once I get my foot in the door? Because when you are the first to step into a room in comparison, maybe from like your family background, no one has ever done it. There are a lot of things that you don't know. I can tell you this, when I first started here at Aerotech, Aston Carter now, I remember it was wintertime, New York City, and I walked into the office with my black Timbs and my hoop earrings and my backpack, and I thought I was crushing it. But I just didn't know. You know, I'm like, oh, no one ever told me, hey, this is not a corporate attire. I'm like, oh, it's winter, it's snowing outside, I'm wearing my Timbs. Like, so I love that you asked that question. I think that as a first gen grad stepping into a corporate environment, it's also extremely important for us to do research on the companies that we are stepping into to actually know what that support looks like and if there is any support. I think the most unique thing about, and I feel very blessed to be part of Aston Carter and Aerotech, I think the most unique part about our organization is that we don't necessarily hire individuals based on their previous work experience or the amount of years that they've had in an industry. We really hire individuals based on their core values, their alignment to our standards, their alignment to our vision as a company, which allows us to just bring so many different perspectives. And the most unique thing is that we promote from within. So everyone starts at a recruiter level and moves their way up. The president of our company started as a recruiter. So when we talk about support and we talk about mentorship, every single person, for the most part, 95% that is in the organization has been at your seat and at some level can understand the frustrations or the challenges or the hiccups that you're going to present or you're going to come across. In addition to that, I think that from a mentorship and development standpoint, it's extremely important, again, for diverse backgrounds, first gen students or first gen going into a corporate environment to know what ERGs your company has. A company that doesn't have an ERG program, it really, for me, raises the question of what does the support look like for the individuals that don't fit the traditional model, and where can I get that support from? So I think it's an unpopular belief, but I think that when it comes to support and when it comes to mentorship, I put that back on me and on the individual of, hey, are we doing enough research to know the environments that we're stepping into, the companies that we're stepping into, to make sure that, hey, are we going to get what we need? And if we're not, or if they don't have them, do I have the mental fortitude and just really the grit to step into that environment and push for that change? Because that's a whole different ballpark of confidence and just consistency there. So I can go on and on for hours on this topic. In my Timbs and my hoop earrings.
The New Yorker is strong. The New Yorker. Tequesta.
And for I could talk about what we do here at this company. We actually have the ERG programs, and we are intentional about making sure we pair our seasoned employees of those programs with the incomers, so that we give them a buddy as soon as they come aboard, so that they have somebody who looks like them that can help them navigate their career. And we also try and push them to somebody who's 2-3 levels above, so that they know what it takes to get to the next level. And, you know, it's so important to be able to have that person who looks like you, who you can ask those type of questions to. I had an employee, he's in the group, sent me an email the other day. He was like, "Hey, Tequesta, I want to grow my dress out. What do you think?" I was like, do it. You know, your dreads aren't going to stop you from doing your job. So he just needed that, okay, that it was fine. And I guarantee you, he wouldn't have been comfortable to reach out to one of our white counterparts to ask that question, because, you know, there are certain things that you're just comfortable with having certain conversations with, have it be, you know, personal or professional. Okay, Tequesta, this is the next step that I want to get to in my career. How did you get there? And it's just easier to have those conversations when you're paired with somebody in that same group. And here we're intentional with making sure that we pair the employees in those ERGs with the mentor. And I know it's important for companies to provide the mentorship, but I don't want the babies, I call them, to think that it's solely the employer's responsibility to manage your career. That is your responsibility, because it's nice to have somebody to speak up for you, but your career is your career, and you have to be confident to own that yourself.
Thank you for that. That reminds me of one of my first directors told me, "The job is mine, the career is yours." I can take that job back anytime. I can hand it, toss it to somebody else, but your career is completely yours, and that will stick with me for all time. So, one thing I want to bring up that you all kind of pulled in was the idea that, yes, there's a responsibility on companies, but there's also a responsibility on us to do the research. And so a couple of questions it seems like we should always be asking is, what are your formal like employee resource group or affinity groups? And if they say we don't have them, that could be a red flag, but you can also say, well, what do you do to support folks like me once I get in? And they may have a great answer that you may feel comfortable with or not, but I think that's a really good point, that like we have to make sure that we ask those questions in the process. Okay, what would you say to employers who want to continue to grow their first gen representation? If it's the like, oh gosh, we just don't know where to find them. I love that one. That's great. We'll start with you, Christelle, then go to Tequesta and then Brian.
Yeah, I love that question. The real line for I don't know where to find them is you're not looking hard enough, from my perspective. I think that, for employers, attracting first gen talent it's not that we don't know where to find them, is that it takes time, right? I think that for the most part, large corporate organizations and mid-sized companies have relied a lot on referral-based hiring. And referral-based hiring limits the level of diversity of thought, diversity of people that your organization has. So when we talk about hiring first-gen students, it takes an intentional level of effort from an employer to say, I am going to drive up to this HBCU or this HSI. I am going to invest to attend these networking events because it is an investment. I am going to take a leap of faith and start engaging in social media platforms and get comfortable in that space and invest in marketing. And I think that one of the areas that employers could be reluctant on when it comes to the social media aspect is once you put content out there and you try to rebrand yourself to attract a specific population, whatever people choose to put in the comments, you have no control over, right? So it's also kind of that double-edged sword of, hey, I'm investing in this and I'm gonna take that step, but it may not necessarily provide an immediate ROI per se. So my biggest advice to employers, or the biggest step that employers need to take, is actually take the first step of putting people in the hiring positions or the recruitment positions that are passionate and actually care to attract this type of diverse or just talent. Because when you put someone that is really passionate about it or really cares about bringing that level of change, then the job becomes natural. It's not an extra task. It's not an extra investment. It's not an extra thing to do. And it's really more of like, sometimes some people say you don't got to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes you got to take the wheel, you got to throw it out and you got to make a whole new one. And I think that's an area that established organizations really struggle with, just knowing that, as I mentioned before, like Gen Z and TikTok and social media and Instagram, it's a completely different way. It's a different ballpark on how to attract talent. But to me, the companies that choose to not continue to evolve and hop on the bandwagon of how candidates want to engage, those are the ones that are going to be left behind, and those are the ones that are going to struggle to find innovative talent. A lot of the big tech, right? Big tech doesn't struggle to find talent because they hear what people want and they are attentive to the generations, and specifically the younger generation. So my advice is listen to what people want, listen to the way that candidates are engaging nowadays. The Gen Z, the first gen grads, the unique perspective that is being brought into the workplace is going to change the way that the world operates. It's good for business to hire diverse talent. And when you have people in the decision making that know that and understand that, it results on just like a financial well-being for everyone.
Agreed. Thank you for that. Tequesta?
And just Christelle, everything you said, I'm like, yep. Facts. So, and another thing that I wanted to touch on is that in our recruitment process, you have to think outside of the box and be traditional. Like I know I mentioned the career fairs, but what other areas can you tap into? So in the HBCU world, those classic games, they're the thing, right? So why not set up a booth at the tailgate where there are tons of students that you can be able to reach? So we do things like that, and we have info sessions. I know I talked about earlier about going to the career fairs, but me being one of them, I didn't go to career fairs. So why not go directly to that class and bring pizza and reach all of them there? And then they know that you're coming to the career fair. And then they know they could tell their friends, hey, Dr. Beatty is going to be at this career fair, and everybody come along. So, and representation matters, right? So when you're going to these HBCU and these other career fairs, why not bring the Gen Zs and the people that look like them to the career fair with those higher titles, so that the students can be motivated, like, okay, this is what they look like me and they're in this position, right? So representation matters, and we have to be intentional about looking outside of the box with our recruitment strategies and not just waiting for the students to come to us. We need to go get them.
Yes, agree with that. All right, Brian, we're ready for you.
Oh man, everybody pretty much hit it right on the head, right? Listen to your people. When you're attracting like diverse talent, typically the saying is what, good people know good people, right? And like if you're getting diverse thinking here, they're gonna have other folks that have a different way of thinking as well. So that one's great. I mean, like ERGs, like if companies don't have that set up in place, they need to, right? And then chat with them, because they're going to be more in tune with their area, right? Of who looks like them, who, their community, things like that. And then you guys can have like partnerships as well. There's so many partnerships with our ERGs here, and so like there's a lot of overlap as well. And then you just, I won't take the, we don't know where to find them. I won't take that answer, because I'm like, no, dude, we are in like the the day of technology where you can get on Google. Again, I use Google, right? Like you can get on there and be like, where can I find diverse talent? I promise you put something in there, you're gonna get something. And you just have to have that natural curiosity. Like, oh, well, let me do a little bit more research here. Let me read about this. Who created this article? What is this person doing? Right? Like, it's a natural curiosity of really like finding that information and kind of understanding who, what, when, where, why, and then reaching out to that person, right? Like, just send a LinkedIn message. You never know if that person's going to respond or not, but at least you did it. Maybe they do. Maybe they're super passionate about what you want to accomplish as a company, as a boss, as an employer, whatever. And they may come in with some like, hey, dude, look, we did this before with another company. I love to share the learnings and the findings with you. Maybe we can partner up and see what we can do to best support you and what you're looking to achieve. So yeah, just staying curious, staying hungry, doing the work, right? And like really tapping into your people, right? They're going to be so in tune with what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. So I think about this from like the perspective of the company. You all have given some really great insights. Like, if you're not doing this, what are you doing? But like folks that are here maybe representing colleges, right? Like doing the research to figure out what those partnerships are with local nonprofits or with the sororities, with the fraternities, like what are these organizations that already have established formal relationships that you can go through, that they want you to plug into, that are pipeline programs. And then for the students themselves, you all also have Google, it works. So how do we have time for another question? Yes, I got a thumbs up running with that one. Okay. Christelle, I think it was you that brought up the referrals and right how like if so much like I work in big tech, so I completely understand it feels like everybody came in through a referral. That's why I also say I will open the door for anybody because we need more folks that well, don't look like me, first of all, but how much from each of your perspectives does a referral matter? Like if you can leverage that, should I be going for a referral?
Yes.
100.
Yes. The referral matters a lot. From my perspective, if you are referred to, I'll speak about my experience. If you are referred onto my team, again, we don't hire based on qualifications or previous experience or years of experience, but let's say that I did. If you are missing a part of like what I put as qualifications, but you're referred by someone maybe within the organization or maybe someone that I know, I will be more flexible of having a conversation and seeing if it's someone that will be a fit. So I think that's something that I really lacked when I first graduated was first of all, creating a network, one, but leveraging a network, leveraging my peers and leveraging the relationships in college to push to ask for referrals within companies or introductions of people that you can build a relationship with that they later on can refer you in. So I think referrals are a really, really big thing. I think it's the reason why a lot of companies look the way that they look nowadays, because it has been so over leveraged in the past, just maybe not leveraged by individuals that look like me or others.
Yeah, plus one, all of it. She hit it on the head. Like when it comes to, so I'm a big believer, apply. Even if you don't think you have the BQs, apply anyways, right? You just never know sometimes. Applications, depending, can sit in a bucket for a month, 2 months, 3 months. There's a lot, right?
Not with these recruiters, though. They're on top of it.
Nope. We actually have a team that actually goes through it because it used to fall on us, but there was not enough hours in the day to get through it. So we had to create it's a couple of years ago. I remember that I was helping staff that up. That's their sole and purpose, to go through those applications to like minimize that wait time, right? But going back with the referral piece, there's SLAs in place. So if you get referred, that team who's going to get that, it's a referrals advisor team. They have 5 to 7 business days to get back to you, right? So they have 5 to 7 business days to get you an answer, if it's a yay or nay, or if you're going moving forward, or sometimes it's going to be like, hey, look, this position's been already closed, but we like you for this position that's not even up yet, right? We're going to send it to you. Would you mind looking it over? Does it pique your interest? At the end of the day, we want passionate people, right? Going into the role that they want to go into. But yeah, the referral piece, oh my God. I tell folks all the time, yo, just find a commonality with somebody, right? And I'll go back to like the veteran piece. I'll have, service members hit me up. They'll give me the who, what, when, where, why, right? Give me a little bit, because like time is money, and I don't have all the time to find that perfect position for you. And I can't do that because I don't know what you're passionate about. I don't, like, you the best. I don't. So if they come with the knowledge of what they want to do, the insight, and then say, hey, do you mind putting a referral? 100. It ain't gonna hurt me. Send it.
Right. Yeah, I think I tell people to do it 100% of the time, because you didn't lose anything. You didn't have a referral, and you might come out with not a referral, but you could get one. Tequesta, do you want to add to that?
Yes, and the last thing to add about that on the person who's being referred part is most times the person who is referring, they're going to get an employee referral bonus for it. So at my current company, they get $5,000 per referral. Right. Of course, I'm excluded from that, but I'm excluded from that, but it's beneficial for both, right? And employees don't want to refer somebody who's going to embarrass them, because we call it passing cabbage. Nobody wants to pass cabbage here. So if it's going to take you to the front of the line, and most times it's beneficial for both parties. So don't hesitate. And I think it's pretty lazy to say that you couldn't find somebody to give you a referral, because almost everybody is on LinkedIn. And if the first person don't respond, go to the next, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's it. I'm not going to go on because Chriselle and Brian said it all already.
Awesome. Okay. I know that I do just have like 2 minutes left, and I always like to end a panel with, I got to ask you a bunch of questions, but is there anything that you want to make sure that you share before we leave that maybe you didn't get to?
I got one. Stay hungry, stay motivated, right? Like finding a job is a job. It can get hard. You just have to keep pushing through. It can get at times, I guess, you can lose your motivation after you getting a no. I get it, right? And like you just have to pull your bootstraps up and just stay positive and go into those interviews being positive. As an interviewer, like I love chatting with folks that are excited to be there, because then I get excited, and then I'm like, oh shoot, let's have this organic conversation, and like we'll start chit chatting, and then I can really pull in more information. And then I start thinking about like, well, if I have 2 people and they're both great, like this person has a little bit more because like their aura is great. They're going to be a great team player. You know what I mean? They're going to be in there in the mix, not afraid for obstacles and to embrace that ambiguity, right? So it's you just have to keep going. You just cannot stop. And like if you ever feel like you're like, shit, man, I'm getting nowhere, don't be afraid to ask for help. There ain't no shame saying I need a little bit of assistance, right?
That's
like
right.
Can we revamp my resume? Yes, right? Like don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask for a referral. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for information. No one's going to bite your head off. Most folks are going to be like, absolutely. But again, you got to put the work in. Who, what, when, where, why? Tell me what, right? And don't ask like, I need a job. Yeah, everybody does. But like, what do you want to do? Have you done the research? Have you looked at careers website? You know what I mean? Like, where's your resume? Is it even done? Your LinkedIn looks, what's going on here, right? You have to do the work.
Completely. I tell folks that, are you ready to have a part-time job? Because that is what a job seeker is. Christelle, Tequesta, anything that you want to share?
Um,
Just share, as Brian mentioned, searching for a job is a full-time job. Stay disciplined and stay committed to the process of that. Do your research, really master the craft of the area that you're trying to get into. And through the ups and downs of the job search, especially nowadays with how the market is, it's just keep in the forefront of your mind that what you choose to do or choose not to push change or push forward is going to have an impact on generations to come. And I think it's a personal responsibility for first gens to continue to pay it forward and make sure that the change is a little bit smoother for the people behind us.
Absolutely. Tequesta, close us
I'll
out.
be really quick. Never
have-
stop
Good
networking.
time. I'm giving you the time.
Okay. Never stop networking. Even once you've landed your job, that doesn't mean stop. Now you can, start to grow in your career, but still join those professional associations so that you can continue to grow your network, because you have a job today. COVID is not gonna, well, I'm not gonna say COVID isn't gonna come again, but something else may happen, right? Something else may happen where there'll be a downturn in the market, and sorry about that. There'll be a downturn in the market. So you just want to always make sure that your network is strong, because you don't want to only reach out for help when you need something. We don't want to be one of those beggars where it's like, oh Lord, what does Tequesta want today? Because that's the only time she ever reach out is when she needs something. So always network. You'll be surprised how many offer letters I've written for people who weren't even looking for a job, right? We had an opening and somebody said, you know what? I think this person would be good for this opportunity. Let me call them and see if they're interested. Passive job searching is the best. And the only way you can do that is if you have a strong network.
Yes, absolutely. It is not transactional. It is relationship building.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great way to end this. Thank you all. I knew reading your bios was going to be awesome, but you definitely, I was taking my little notes too that I can share with my community. So I am really grateful. And now I'm going to be quiet because my time is up.
No, actually, Tequesta, Christelle, and Brian, fabulous again, information. Thank you for your time. Thank you for paying it forward. Really appreciate you. And even though we never met in person, I feel like I know you as if we were just close friends. So thank you very much.